everyone, it is your buddy and your pal, Aewch, back again with another chat stream, this time back to usual, live at twitch.tv/Aewch, where you can catch me live whenever I can get on there. I'm not great with schedules. As always, follow me on Twitter at JustAewch, capital J-U-S-T, capital A-E-W-C-H, and all that jazz. Today, if you have not seen any title, we are going to talk about my top 10 Mystery Science Theater movies. If you have never seen, Mystery Science Theater is a great classic show from Comedy Central, Sci-Fi Channel, and even a little bit of Netflix, even though it only really got 2 seasons? I don't think 3. Maybe, I know 2. First one, the Marathon, which was their second season. I don't think they got 3rd. But it's one of those things where it goes back to, somehow the Comedy Channel was just beginning. It was one of their biggest shows because it was really easy. It took up 2 hours of content, and it was really good. And as a kid, you just kind of see puppets. Yay, puppets. That's more than anything. But, as when you get older and you rediscover it, you just go, oh, hey, this show is actually really clever and funny. So I have been collecting the DVDs. I have everything of the Rhino, and I think everything of the Shout Factory. Not the re-releases, because I have most of those from the Rhino collection already. So, I'm a big fan. I am a deep dish fan, for sure. So I've seen them all. Some of them I gotta come back and rewatch too, because I don't think I am being the fairest to it. This one, when I looked over the movies to figure out this list, it was fairly gut reaction as, ooh, good movie. Ooh, good movie. Iffy on that one. Not that one. Ooh, good movie. So this is very first, not so much first look, but very gut reaction on everything. So I need to rewatch some of the later releases to actually try to absorb some of those movies as well. So we have at least a top 10. I have a couple of honorable mentions we'll get to near the end as well. So, to start, movie number 10. See if that works. Yeah. I Accuse My Parents. What an interesting one to start it out. It is one of those, it's another one of those like crime movies from 50s, 60s, things like that. It's not as super serious as some of the other ones I will come up to, but it does have that feeling to it. Now, the weird thing is, it's not necessarily a very it is a compelling movie. It's not a great movie, but for some reason it's compelling, solely because the lead character Jimmy, who is the man in the suit with the baby blue hat, I guess, he is quite possibly the dumbest character and or the biggest liar in all of movies. Like, he just doesn't stop lying throughout. It just gets bigger and bigger over time. His parents are the two on the left top up there. First off, he goes from being in high school to like a gangster in like a week. It's such a weird, not well explained time hop for that for some reason. What else is there? Again, just lies all the time. He falls in love with this singer girl at a club who is also dating like the mob boss. That's the whole thing going on. Jimmy starts doing jobs for him, gets tied up, tries to run away because they were going to take him out from the business, comes back, ending, it's basically, you did a crime, but, you're all right, kid. It is an interesting, it is a good coming to movie for some reason, but for some reason it is endearing because of the character Jimmy. He is stupid and or just a liar all the way through. So Interesting, a crime drama depending on what you go for, not so much, but just enough, because it is one of those things I will come back to for some reason. It's not a hugely great film, but it is just to watch the path of this idiot, basically. So number 10, I Accuse My Parents. Interesting and somewhat compelling somehow. It's interesting how that one works out. Okay. Coming up, number 9, Village of the Giants. This is another one of those Burt I. Gordon's teen romp things. This one has a little bit more cheesecake, obviously, from the poster than some of the other ones like Catalina Caper and things like that. Again, so basically these troublemaking teenagers crash this small town, and they just kind of start hanging around, messing up. This other group is, the good kids in town, stuff like that. One of them is actually a young Ron Howard as like a kid who who is called Genius. Basically comes up with this substance just called, goo. It's like, creative name. And basically it makes things big. There's no other way to do it. It's just, they call it the goo. It makes stuff big. So the bad kids somehow get a hold of it, and now all of a sudden they're giants and they try to take over the town. This one is great in terms of ridiculousness. I mean, just looking at the poster, hanging off of someone's top, that is actually a scene in the movie. Like, where all the bad kids kind of stomp in and just go, hey, we've kind of taken over the town now. We're gonna dance. So basically the girl grabs him, but puts her right there. Oh, out of focus. Puts her right there. And the funny thing is, they basically had to build a giant prop chest for some reason. Which, if there's a prop that gets auctioned off if it's not destroyed, it's the giant fake breasts from Village of the Giants. There are actually a couple of those. There's a giant pair of feet, and I want to say a giant pair of hands, but I don't think that's right. So, cheesy, interesting done special effects. It's actually halfway decent for how they were able to do it. But the only thing is, the giant scenes are shot slow motion. They just told him, act really slow. We'll call it big. So, there's the scene where he's supposed to be throwing like a thing. So he's just like, they couldn't quite get slow motion all the way through. They just are moving really slowly. Very entertaining, colorful. And then there are just some parts where Ron Howard, he creates the stuff that makes people big and then doesn't figure out what the original formula is. So his track is he's making the formula, or at least attempting over and over and over again throughout the movie. So, most of the time, makes, is this it? Boom, stuff goes off in his face and it looks like he's, a murder victim. But then there is one where he creates it and the stuff just comes alive and then goes down the drain and it's just a complete nightmare fuel. And he's just like, okay, not that one. It's like, thanks, Ron Howard. Something is in the sewers now. You made a different movie. Thanks. So, but number 9, Village of the Giants. Very entertaining. Obviously a little bit more cheesecake than anything else, but very ridiculous and over the top, which always scores points with me. Give that one a shot. Let me get the view. Give that one a shot right there. I still don't quite get the cameras on this stuff. Okay, moving on with number 8, The Starfighters. This one is a little odd choice because all things considered, it's a really boring movie. Like, there's not a whole lot, there's not even like a scare factor with certain horror films. This is just kind of a regular drama. You basically are following these guys who are in the Air Force learning to fly these different planes. There's a lot of plane footage, a lot of refueling, a lot of, showing how weapons work, stuff like that. Like, basically someone took a camera to, like, an Air Force training day. That's basically the entire movie. And there's, like, this drama between one of the fighter pilots whose dad is in Congress trying to get him to move and all that blah, 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 blah. It's not an interesting movie, but it is one of those things where more of the riffing actually shines through because it's not bouncing off of anything crazy like a bad monster or ridiculous acting or anything like that. This is pretty much like a milquetoast movie, to be completely honest. But that's why I think that's why I like this movie so much. It lets the riffing actually be the star. Sometimes the riffing is just a good addition to sometimes a regularly ridiculous movie. But sometimes it's all the writing of what they do. So to me, that was the key to this movie. It has some oddball scenes. Like, basically, when you watch old-fashioned refueling, you kind of know what it looks like. You know what I mean? There are just scenes where they're just using all their bombs and missiles for, like, 5 minutes. It's just like, okay, do we need an advertising campaign for the Air Force somehow? People will kind of get and understand this. So, but there is that. But Starfighters, again, boring regular movie, but it is definitely great. One of the greater ones for just the riffs itself, which is kind of hard to find sometimes between all these movies. So, the Starfighters, number 8 for me. Number 7, Overdrawn at the Memory Bank. This is a really oddball one. This was, I believe, a movie for like a PBS-style affiliate in New York in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever it looks. And for a public access movie, it actually is fairly impressive. You have some very beginner, but albeit tone matching CG. You know, it's mostly just, you know, plain rotating flat screens, stuff like that. You do have a lot of sets, a lot of well-built stuff, some almost recreations of not is it Casablanca? No, yeah, Casablanca. You know, Casablanca is a big theme in the movie, so it keeps on going back to that. And, you know, as you can see on the poster, it has Raul Julia in it. So, you know, it is a little impressive for, again, almost a locally made movie, you know what I mean? And I do like a little bit of outlandishness. It does have some of that techno babble that they just kind of make up because they don't have real words for that shit. So, but yeah, Overdrawn at the Memory Bank. I love the outlandishness of trying to predict what the future is going to do. There's a lot of that going on here. There's like people downloading into like animal bodies. Raul Julia's character is basically stuck in a giant mainframe computer the entire time. So he's just going around the ending where he goes like Neo in the Matrix, basically, with the whole big "I'm interfaced." It makes no sense whatsoever. But again, another entertaining film on the idea of the ridiculousness of futurism, kinda. It's a good watch, entertaining through. Raul Julia does what he can for what he's in. Very, very entertaining movie for Overdrawn at the Memory Bank there. Moving right along. Number 6, Laser Blast. This is a great cult film just because for some reason stuff in the 70s there is no happy ending for something. Again, it's the 70s. This loner Billy is, you know, pushed around, even though not really. It's not like he's like, you know, super goth or anything like that. It's just everyone's kind of a jerk to him for no really good reason. He's just a normal dude. But he does find the titular laser blast, that blaster, which, fully admit, I would buy that prop. I would buy a recreation. I would buy the original thing. Does not matter to me. I am buying the laser blast prop. It is a little iconic. It's a little cheap, kinda generic, but knowing what it's for, it is an interesting set piece. Now, all things considered, it is a movie from the 70s, which basically means there's no hope or happiness at the end. You see a lot of that, especially that era where everything is just, oh, it's hopeless, who cares, everyone dies at the end. So there's a lot of that going on in this one. But the impressive thing is, they did get Roddy McDowall. So as, like, not quite a guest star, but he is, a role in it, so it is actually kind of impressive he's in there. And B, the budget based solely on explosions. That is the only thing that happens in this movie. Like, they're trying to show that the laser blast hits a person on that movie theater. That does not happen. The laser blast hits everything that explodes the entire time. That's the only thing that thing does. So there is no... Unless it's like at the very end or something like that, but there is no laser blasting people on people. It is all explosions throughout the time. So, but again, very entertaining from being outlandish. There's these weird alien subplot that goes nowhere because they're all speaking in their language and it makes no sense. Just like that's the entire subplot. But absolutely entertaining for sure when it comes to Laser Blast. At number 6, that's a very good one to almost start on, even though that's the end of their Comedy Central era going to sci-fi. But very good one. Number 6, Laser Blast. Easy enough. Number 5, The Giant Spider Invasion. This one is actually a very good monster flick. I don't have a whole lot of monster flicks on here because a lot of them are, 1950s, 1960s. Not quite well, some of them are very boring, don't get me wrong. But then some of them are okay. The Creeping Terror actually comes up as actually decent from the 1970s. Not quite good enough for my list, but it is entertaining in itself. But The Giant Spider Invasion, another movie from the 70s. This one is at least you kind of understand. It's a giant spider invasion. You have lots of spiders, webs. I think the most impressive thing for this one is the giant spider. And, they make it crawl over a house. There's a lot of destruction. It's actually really well done. And then same with its destruction. Even though I think the original shot they forgot to record or messed it up or something like that. But the original shot was good. It kind of explodes in reverse or something like that. Not sure, but that destruction scene is good. It's also very entertaining when the giant spider eats somebody with its butt, because they don't know how spiders work, apparently. But it's a very good prop for sure. I mean, to make a giant spider for a movie called The Giant Spider Invasion, it is very good. Its destruction is good. All of that is good. The heroes, not so much. There's no real bad guys other than the spiders. But the side characters are okay. The heroes really are just, middle-aged scientists. There's no cool weapon scene or anything like that. But overall, this is the one you watch because it delivers on what it promises. It's a giant spider invasion. There is a giant spider. I mean, the group of people trying to attack it is okay, but they don't really do anything. But for what it says, it does deliver. So, The Giant Spider Invasion, not a bad film. A little shallow, I think would be the best way to put it. But very entertaining. Again, I score big on outlandishness and craziness. Giant Spider Invasion actually does that very, very well. So number 5, Giant Spider Invasion. I do like that one a little bit. Number 4, The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies. What a weird one. Like, this one is even more bizarre. I think this was actually 1964, I think IMDb said. So, 1964, a little more grimy, actually, than some of the movies from the 70s on this list. But the weird part is most of this is just, like, shot at, like, a variety... Not a variety show, but, like, a sideshow attraction. Strangely enough. That was, like, half of the movie, all things considered. What do my notes say about this one? I mean, the title does it no favors, but it is one of those things you do remember it because, you know, the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living became mixed up zombies. It's a mouthful, but you just go, oh, that was that stupid movie. I see what you meant there. But it's amazingly grimy. It's a little... damn it, I actually wanted to keep that one open. It's an interesting film. Grimy. The star Cash Flag is actually just the director, Ray Dennis Steckler. Interesting to say the least. The monsters themselves are not too much or anything like that. It's just some cheesy makeup over the head. It looks like they're melted and stuff like that. There's some weird scenes, like when the main character becomes hypnotized. He does this weird thing. It looks like bad local theater, I guess is the way to put it, but it's there. Again, it is I love the cheesy factor to it. Scary, it's not so much. It's not too bad. But honestly, it's just mostly just sideshow acts. It's so weird. That's like half of the movie for some reason. I enjoy it because it is just that griminess. It doesn't look too... film stock is not great. Presentation's not great. Interesting, yes. Not a whole lot to look at, but you see a name like that, you just go, you have my interest, see what happens. So, number 4, incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies. Number 3, Santa Claus. Oh, now we have just turned craziness up a whole nother level on this one. Santa Claus is this great film picked up by Gordon Murray, picked up this movie from Mexico. This is a Mexican movie where they took the lore book of Santa and threw it out the damn window. So now Santa lives in a castle in space. He is best friends with Merlin the Magician. He has these creepy looking props to look at kids on space. He fights the devil half the way through. It is a really crazy movie. And this is the one I have been able to keep special for a long time, just because I only try to watch it at Christmas time. The other ones, horror movies people are always big into for some reason, so they can watch those all the time. But this one I try to keep at Christmas time, solely because of its complete insanity for it. But, oh, it's so over the top. It's crazy. There's even some stuff that's cut out because A, it takes up time, and B, it is weird imagery. Like, the little devil, what was his name? Pitch. He gets this basically an entire dance sequence in the bowels of hell for some reason. They're a little bit more open on that kind of stuff in Mexico, I guess, to fight back against it. But this is a pile of crazy that is absolutely recommended. Santa Claus itself. I didn't put Santa Claus Conquer the Martians on it, which itself is a great film, but it's one of those ones where everyone would put it on their list no matter what. But I like Santa Claus a little bit more because it makes absolutely no sense. Oh, but it's such a classic. Santa Claus, the Mexican kids film, absolutely great at number 3. Number 2, Samson versus the Vampire Women. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this one I feel is like a great Halloween-themed movie. It's not so much scary as in terms of like jumps or adrenaline rushes or things like that, but it has the look down like perfectly. It has really spooky sets. The vampire women are scary enough as they are. They bite. They're vampires. They bite necks and stuff like that. It looks really good. But this is obvious. In case you didn't know, this was another movie from Mexico starring El Santo, who is like the biggest lucha libre star of all time, is what they say. So, my favorite scene in the entire movie, like the first half hour or 45 minutes, is just them setting up why the vampire women are there, who they're going after, XYZ, things like that. And then there's just this one scene where El Santo, his introduction into the movie, like, this door opens up to the mansion, he comes in, he is in full lucha attire, mask, cape, tights. I hurried over as quickly as I could. And it's just, that's how you walk in? It's just so ridiculous. It is fantastic. And I love the ending where the good guy, like, the vampire's plan fails completely, no matter what, right? So they've already lost. But El Santo basically goes into their castle and literally sets this entire clan of vampires on fire. Spoiler alert for a 80-year-old movie, but that's the good guy. The good guy just commits arson in this castle, killing all these vampire women. It is, again, looks great, perfectly themed for Halloween. Santo has some craziness. There's only one, there's a lot of wrestling, but it's not that bad. There's only like one wrestling match. Because, like, other movies that I've actually featured wrestling, like Racket Girls and stuff like that, they have like 5 or 6 matches from the 1940s, and they're boring as sin. So, Samson versus the Vampire Women, great, super kitschy movie, great for Halloween, to be honest, for like, not so scary kind of stuff. It looks really great. But number 2, I gave that one a lot of credit. So, Samson versus the Vampire Women, a great movie, to be honest. Now, so that's 10 through 2. Wow, that's a quick list for me, I guess. But for some honorable mentions, I gotta talk about Catalina Caper. This is one of those movies where it's actually an outlier for Mystery Science Theater, because they do, monster movies, dramas, stuff like that. They really didn't touch comedies too much. Catalina Caper, there's a little bit of, slapstick, pratfalls from a character, stuff like that. Jim Begg is in it, who was at least trying to be a comedy character, but he never really caught on, I guess. Again, a lot of cheesecake, a lot of girls in bikinis dancing around in the 60s. But it is great. It does feature Little Richard, completely messed up. He is high as a kite in this movie singing this song, because he's not even like dancing or anything. He's just literally standing there singing this song, because he's just like, did the check clear? All right, let's get this done. That's a great scene. There are some songs, and I might be the crazy one, but I swear there's a UFO in this movie that no one seems to mention or notice. But that's just me. I think it's during one of the other songs. I swear there's a UFO in it, but again, could be just me. Don't know. But a very honorable mention to Catalina Caper for sure. Another one, The Beatniks. Another crime kind of drama thing where the depiction of, the beatnik or anything like that is kind of, judgmental and stereotypical. Group of beatniks. One of them has some singing talent, and he kind of gets picked up as, like, the next singing star, something like that. But the character of Moon, who is actually the male in the poster there, he's the one, like, crazy one you kind of watch the movie for. The singer is, as dull as a paper bag, basically. But he is the one who's, like, kind of actually has a little bit of character, too. Like, they tried this thing where, like, he's gonna threaten one's like, I'm gonna moon you, man. And it's just like, didn't quite plan that one out, did you? But Beatniks, he's an entertaining character, not super outlandish. Another kind of by the numbers, color by numbers for, your crime syndicate movies, stuff like that. Okay, entertaining in parts, especially for Moon, but very honorable mention for that one as well. And then this one, The Violent Years. Again, another crime drama, but this time featuring an all-girl gang. It's a good twist on kind of the genre, and I believe, don't quote me, but I swear, this was actually at least written by Ed Wood. And you can't have a list about bad movies without at least mentioning him. Because they did another one, Sinister Urge, which is, I think, at least directed or written by Ed Wood. I know Plan 9 from Outer Space was completely an Ed Wood production, but I think a few of these he did one or the other or something like that. But The Violent Years, again, buy the books for a crime drama, but it is very entertaining just because there's a scene. Long story short, basically they just go, this guy doesn't have any money. Let's just bone him in the woods. Like, that's the whole crime, So, again, not a special movie, not super outlandish or anything like that. Strangest Criminal. Yeah, again, Strange Criminals. Again, a little bit of a talk of communism kind of on that one as well. But again, honorable mention to Violent Years. And now, that's 2 through 10, the honorable mentions. To me, my number one favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie, Hobgoblins. This one is a classic, cheesy 80s masterpiece. Obviously, it's a ripoff of Gremlins because it was out, but the Gremlins at least had articulated puppets. These are just practically dolls. Like, just, I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked by a puppet. But again, cheesily 80s. Like, the outlandishness and ridiculousness is perfect for the screen. The riffs go right along with it. Those stand out, which is hard to do as well. But Hobgoblins is an amazing, outlandish all the way through. Basically nothing but, well, even for an 80s movie, it doesn't really have the stereotypes too much. You have boring lead girlfriend, skank, army dude who's boyfriend of skank, and then spare character who's just there. So not even like a great teen flick or anything like that, but greatly cheesy for 80s. The monsters are ridiculous. The end scene at the club seems to go on forever. The announcer is like a bad Rocky Horror Nightmare takeoff, something like that. I don't know even what I'm saying on that one. But Hobgoblins is just a masterpiece of ridiculousness. Absolutely go out of your way. It's not on any streaming service. That's the thing. Some rights are just, or is it? It might be. I don't know. But absolutely worth the watch. Hobgoblins, get it wherever you can. That is an absolute must watch on that. So, oh man, that is my top 10. I think you go with any of those movies, you have at least some laughs for sure. Not a lot of monster movies for me, to be quite honest. Because, most of the time they're kind of lazy about it. Sometimes the monsters are okay, sometimes they're not. Creeping Terror has a good monster. Night of the Blood Beast is pretty good. Bloodwater Dr. Z. The varying degrees of good against the monsters and stuff like that. But monster movies, are tough because they're actually, depending on the era, really, really slow paced when it comes to that kind of stuff. There's a couple of westerns that I like. Gunslinger's pretty good. The Last of the Wild Horses is good. Not a whole lot special to them, but they're okay. A whole lot of film noir stuff that didn't make the list. A lot of the newer releases for Shout I don't quite have a huge memory of. Let me see here. What are some of my other favorites I have written down? Oh, Scott. Oh, there's a whole trilogy from... what is his name? I can't remember his name, but it was The Skydivers, Red Zone Cuba, and, he's got one more. Skydivers, Red Zone, and The Beast of Yucca Flats, which are just the dreariest, slow-paced, boring films. I like the Skydivers for some reason. Again, that kind of drama is okay, but the fake monster stuff in Beast and Yucca Flats and Red Zone Cuba trying to make a dramatic war piece, it just didn't work. Skydivers at least kind of stands out. What else we have here? Oh, more in 70s schlock. Angel's Revenge is actually a halfway cheesy Charlie's Angels knockoff. It's interesting. Girl in Gold Boots is like absolute 70s grime and oil all over it. That's not a 2-1. Some 80s ones are actually some good. Space Mutiny is a classic people consider. Again, another Star Wars knockoff. What else we got? Time Chasers. Actually, a little more infamous now. I think Riff Tracks redid it and brought it back. Very interesting way to play it. Again, halfway decent for an 80s film, but still, it's a good one. Not a lot of the Japanese monster movies. Those don't quite stick out in my head as much. Prince of Space is a good one, solely because, like, the bad guys never realize their weapons don't work. So it's just like, get him! Oh, it didn't work. Again, some older ones. Monster A Go-Go, I enjoy. It's a pieced together, taped together movie. It doesn't make really much sense. Dead Talk Back is actually a good little noir piece. Sinister Urge, again, another good crime drama alongside Teenage Strangler, which is a little bit later in the 60s or 70s. That one I like a lot. Parts of the Clonus horror actually is a fun one, just because there's a little bit of naivete in the main character, who is a clone, blah, blah, blah. That's a good one, solely because the ending scene is basically an old man and woman being completely exploded in their house. That's great. It's ridiculous and over the top, and I love it. What else we got here? Werewolf is actually pretty cheesy for a monster movie. Soul Taker, Joe Estevez is in it. Do I need to say anything more? But that one is an interesting take on that kind of stuff. Final Justice. Who's the star of Mitchell? Oh, I can't remember. But I actually like Final Justice a little bit more, because it's just the same. He just doesn't learn a lesson no matter what till he gets his way, essentially. Girl in Lover's Lane, Zombie Nightmare, Warrior Lost. What else we got here? Foreign film cheesiness. Magic Voyage of Sinbad actually stands out a little bit, just because of the weird creatures and stuff. Kind of the same for actually Jack Frost. That one is another oddball one to try out. Puma Man is, again, like the lamest superhero. Bad special effects when flying. Some of it's okay, but Puma Man, actually a good one to come back to. Screaming Skull is actually good because it's a little more... what would I say? Screaming Skull is a little bit more dramatic. It doesn't have a monster. It's just kind of the threat and the suspense. It actually does that a little bit well. What else we got here? Oh, another one. San Francisco International. They do have their own kind of set of TV shows that had like a couple of pilot episodes that they tied together and made one movie. To me, San Francisco International stands out the most. There's a few others like Master Ninja, its sequel. Time of the Apes was like an entire series tried to boil down into one movie. There's one more. Riding with Death is the same line, where it's like that lame 70s superhero where he just has a watch and turns invisible. It's okay. Not a lot from the Netflix series. I only have the first season. Cry Wilderness kind of stands out. Avalanche stands out. A few, they're okay. Again, I have to put a little bit more time and viewing into it. They're okay, but not a lot. I actually still have to dig up the their second season, which was the, what is that called? Where you watch the whole thing in a row. But that is what I got for my list. Those top 10 for sure are a good starter kit. So Follow me on Twitter at JustAwch, capital JUST, capital AEWCH. Follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/ouch, and or the video game Facebook page, fb.me/ouchstreams. What else do we have? Check out the podcast, justouch.podomatic.com. Check out the blog, ouchspeaks.wordpress.com. I have a brand. Can you believe it? The music, as always, provided by the Bass Rebels. Great copyright-free stuff that you can use on your videos, streams, what have you, and you won't get busted for copyright. Always a good thing. And if anything, send me an email, ouch64@gmail.com. That is about all I got. No one's saying anything because I think it's first, but until next time, this one I can actually probably clean up and put on YouTube fairly easily. So until next time, we will see everyone later. Bye-bye, everybody.